Hey everyone, and welcome to Crafted by Queen. This painting we're going to do is the Eye of Sauron from Lord of the Rings. That's the inspiration here. So we're going to have a more lifeless type of painting and have the tower with the eye. So for supplies, you will need a canvas. You can use any size canvas, but for the one I'm using, it's a 16 by 20. You're gonna need your water glass and some brushes. So for my brushes, let me wipe them off real quick. You want to mostly have a big brush, a medium brush, and a small brush. Then I have two baby brushes for the smaller details. You can use just one of them, or you can use the edge of one of your other brushes. But I just have those just in case I want to go into more details with the tower. You're going to need some paper towels, and you're going to need a paper plate or any palette for mixing your paint. So for the colors today, we're going to be mostly doing the darker toned colors of orange, red, have some yellow for the eye, black, and some brown. So if you have a pre-mixed brown, that's going to be very helpful today. I do not, so I'm going to be mixing my own. But for the colors, I'm using this brand of acrylic paint. So I'm going to be using some white, yellow, black, red, and blue, the basics, the primaries plus white and black. So to start off with, I'm going to have a little bit of white. And I'm going to go ahead and get some black on my plate and some red. The red and yellow is the bright red and bright yellow. And then for the blue, I normally use the bright blue, but for this painting, I have cobalt blue. If you use the bright, that's fine, but just so you know what I'm using. And to start off with, I'm going to be making a gray. So I'm going to get my big brush. I'm going to dry it off a little bit. I'm going to just go ahead and use my second plate actually. I'm going to grab a scoop of white. I'm going to need a decent amount. And then a little dab of black. And we're gonna mix. Now, since we want this to be more lifeless, I am gonna add a little bit more black. Just a touch. We're gonna have to probably make a lot more than this, so that's fine. This is where I wanna start off with. So first I'm going to draw that horizon line. I'm envisioning, oops, I didn't want it there. So hang on, let me just scoop that off there real quick. So I'm envisioning some mountains in the background, on the ground, and then a cloud-filled dark sky. So for this one, I kind of want to be zooming in, like coming up from the sky to the tower, not where the tower is looking up. So I'm going to have more sky than I am mountains and landscape. So I'm going to do about 2/3. So here's about halfway and then down a little more. So I'm just going to draw a line across for my horizon line. And then I'm going to just use this gray and work my way up. Like I said, you're probably gonna have to make a lot more but that's okay. It's just a bunch of white and then a little bit of black. Now I am going to be adding, I want to have kind of some red in there. So let me make some more of this. So I want a decent amount of white. I'm going to do a separate pile for the ones with some red in it. A little bit of black. And if it's not exact, that's okay, because we are going to be adding some cloud-like texture. So I'm going to do just a touch of red. I want that gray to shine through. I'm just gonna go to the next layer up. I'm not blending quite yet. I want to get a little bit more thickness of this pure color. I did not wipe off my brush. And now I'm gonna go back and just blend out that line. That way it's not a harsh line. So I'm just go over it, go down, bring it up, go down, bring it up. And you wanna make sure your brush strokes are going the same direction. You don't wanna have patchwork. Okay. Now I'm gonna make that a little bit more of an orange. So I'm gonna get a big scoop of white, a little bit of black, a little bit of yellow, and a little bit of red. A little bit more red, a little bit more yellow. I want it to be more orange. Looks good. And then we're going to do the same thing. We're just going to paint another layer above it. And then we'll blend it in. Now I'm going to do more of a dark toned red. So I'm just gonna grab a scoop of red. You don't have to dry off your brush. And then I'm gonna do a little dab of black. Kind of like a blood, almost brown red. And it's gonna be a little bit different than what we're doing, but we're gonna scatter in some. So I'm just gonna paint at the top here. This blood red. So I'm gonna make some more. So a bunch of red. Scoop of black, but not too much. Just grab a little bit more red if you grab too much black. then we're going to blend this down. Blend it up and then bring it down. You can also grab some of it and just do some spots. And then what you'll do is you'll paint, and then as you get over there, you just drag it out. It kind of gives almost a cloud-like look. So it looks like I got too much gray dragged up to the top. So I just grabbed a little bit more of that red. I'm gonna have mountains coming up here. So now I'm gonna just take straight black and just do the very top, very lightly. And just have that blend into that red. And then like we did the spots, I'm gonna add some spots of black. And these are gonna serve as like clouds. And it looks like my paint is drying there. So you can go back in with that gray if you need to. And then you'll take a little bit of that gray and bring it up to that darker toned area. So you can rinse off the brush almost down here. And then you just drag that gray out. This helps create the illusion of some clouds in the sky. Now we're gonna let that dry, and we're kind of gonna be doing the same exact thing. So we're gonna start with the lighter color and go down to that darker shade. We are gonna have some, well actually it's gonna be lighter up front, but we're gonna have black mountains to help separate that. So I'm gonna go in and grab black first, I believe, and then we'll add the mountains after we add our black. So I'm still using that big brush. I'm putting this paint palette away for now. I'm just gonna go straight in with my black, kind of draw that horizon line out again. And actually, I'm not gonna use straight black because I am for the mountains a little bit and then add some highlights of gray. But the tower itself is going to be black. So we're gonna do more of a dirt brown. So if you have this red, go ahead and keep it. I'm gonna get a little puddle of blue. Very little, we don't need a lot, I don't think. And actually, let me rinse off this black on my brush first. And just take a little dab of that blue and mix it into this dark red. It's gonna be almost like a purple brown. That's what I'm kind of aiming for. I don't really want any blue to show. But I will use that purple because it goes really well with that blood red. And I'm just gonna go in. So I'm gonna just fill in the background first, and then we'll be doing the details. I'm still going in that horizontal movement because it's gonna be kind of a landscape as well. I'm gonna grab straight red now and just add that in there. Let's do an orange. Almost. Let's do a dark orange. So I'm gonna grab some yellow. Grab some red. So I kind of want this to be lifeless, but still have that feel of fire. So I'm just gonna a little bit too bright. Let me just add a touch of black. I'm just gonna bring this color down. So I need to make some more. So grab some yellow, some red, get that orange, and add a drop of black. And we're gonna blend that into the red. I actually really like this. It's like a dirt. So I'm just gonna bring that up into my red. Okay. Now we're gonna let this fully dry before we do anything else. So go ahead and rinse off your brush. And let it dry. Now, if you want to, you can add more dark black clouds. You can also add that volcano in the background. Yeah, so I think that's what we're gonna do next is add some more dark clouds. I kind of want to use the dry brush technique for that. And then we're going to be doing a little bit more work down here. But I need it to dry. So if you want to add the volcano, when we do the mountains, you would just bring it up, which to look like a volcano, and then you would have the lava trickling down. I think I have too much red in here, but that's fine. I really like that fiery, and I want it to shine in the back. We're gonna be adding clouds and dirt and smoke all over this painting, so don't feel like you put too much red. We're gonna be covering it up soon. I'm gonna be using the medium brush for this next step. And I'm gonna be making some more gray. So a lot of white. All my white. And then a touch of black. I want to start off with a light gray and then work up in the sky to that darker gray. So I'm gonna need a lot more white. So let me just grab the rest of my white and add more white. Oh no. I'll have to fix that. Let's see if I can get that off. Well, okay. That's fine, I guess. So I'm gonna add a touch of black. Since I have so much white, I might need to add more black. Let's see. Nope, I think this will be fine. Yes, this will be good. And mine is basically dry. Let me switch my locations of my palettes here. So I'm gonna scrape off all the excess. And then I'm gonna dabbing my brush to get most of that extra paint off. You can also use the towel blending technique, and I think I am on some of it. So to have that scrunched up a little bit there, you can just brush the paint on there. So I kind of want to just have some wisps of clouds going on here. So it looks like I've still got too much paint on my brush, but that's okay. So I'm just kind of thinking a little bit like a cloud where I want these to go. Now I'm gonna take that paper towel. I'm gonna do some dabbing. This helps look it more like cloud, because you have those stray marks coming out. Then I'm going to make another little block. Over here. I want some clouds over here. Take that paper towel and work it. And if you want to just use the paper towel, you can. You just paint on your paper towel and then you just dab. We'll do one more spot of this. Kind of up here in the sky. Some trickled clouds. Let me just retouch. So I really like how this is turning out with that paper cloud effect. I mean paper towel, paper cloud. Oh goodness. So I'm just gonna drag that in there. All right, now we're gonna add slightly bit of black. So a little touch of black, and I'm gonna drag some of this gray down. So I'm just gonna do a little bit darker. Okay, a little bit darker than that. So I get more black. So this is that storm cloud now. I want to save some of that light gray for the bottom for that mist almost effect. Okay, so we're going to do the exact same method. We're going to just paint on the paper towel actually. That darker shade of gray. And I'm going to kind of go in between. I'm gonna go over it some and just blend that in there. Now if you want to just put blocks on your canvas and then spread it out, you can, so that way you make sure you get those spots you really like. But just be careful of it drying out. Might be easier to stand up for this part. And I'm going to make more of that dark gray. So I want to make sure I get some there. Kind of want to go up there, add some in the back here, and then I'll get my paper towel, paint on it, and get dabbing. Now you don't want to make it look one-dimensional, so that's why I'm doing multiple layers over top, and then that, since when the paint's already wet, it'll pull that back color out to make nice blended tones. But you see how that red is still shining from the back? That's what I want. get more black. Keep going. I'm gonna add a little bit more of this color, and then I'm gonna make it even darker gray, almost a black. So I want to make sure I get this middle here. I want up here to have this gray, and I'll have a spot here or there. Now, if you feel like you lost too much of that white, that light gray, you can just get some of that light gray and paint on top of this and then put it back in. Or you can go back over and add that dimension to those clouds you just did. Next, we're gonna get more black and add it to that dark gray. That way it's almost like a black. We're gonna do the exact same thing. We're gonna add more spots up here. If it's, and add some on the paper towel. Now, if it's not dark enough, we're gonna add straight black afterwards. Since the eye is going to be here and it's going to be a lot of bright colors, I want to make sure I use this darker color in that area. That way the bright lights can shine through, like the yellow. Now I'm going to go in with that lighter mid-tone of gray. You might have to make some more just by grabbing those two colors. Paint it on my paper towel and dab it into that harsh dark color we just did to help lighten it up. Next, I'm going to just grab some black. And I'm just gonna paint the paper towel. I'm not gonna make any spots on the canvas. I'm just gonna do the upper area. Because that black will go a long way. Okay. I'm going to let that dry now, and you might want to wash your hands off if you got paint all over them. Let me go ahead and rinse off my brush. And then we're going to do a more foggy look at the bottom here. So make sure you get that medium brush dried off well. Might need another paper towel. And now your bottom should be dry. And we're gonna start off with that dark gray tone. And we're kind of just gonna be adding mountains to the whole bottom, but we kind of want that red background to shine through a little bit. That way it adds some dimension. So let's see, this is almost dry. We're gonna need a lot more than this little puddle. So go ahead and make a decent amount of that darker shade of gray. We want to have a really dark gray so that way when we put the mountains on top of those lighter clouds, it will show. So my clouds on the bottom are already dry, and I'm going to add some mountains. I'm not going to make them really high, but just enough to hide that horizon line. And rocks are kind of just bumpity things. If you want to have more precise rocks and mountains, you can. And I'm just going to bring this down. If you pick up some of that black, that's fine. So we're going to be kind of doing this rocky motion down the thing. So when one rock ends, another one kind of begins. So you got to think about where you want these mountains to be. So this one I'm imagining in the very, very background, and these two are going to be coming forward. I'm gonna get thinner and thinner on my paint here as we begin to transition into that red toned land. Now I am gonna go in with some black and do my up close mountains peeking up. I'm using just solid black. So I'm imagining us standing on this cliff and we are witnessing this eye. And then on the tops of these mountains up here, or where these mountains trickle in, I'm gonna add some black. You can outline your mountains if you want. I'm gonna dry off my brush. And I'm gonna just pull this color into that gray we have. Kind of go the paintbrush strokes with the path of your mountain. Now the middle you don't have to do as much detail because we will be covering that with the tower. Now I'm going to kind of create a smoke-like area, and I'm just going to use the dry brush technique. So you're almost drying off your brush with just a little bit of that black, and we're just going to paint in this area. It's going to kind of look like a dark smoke almost. We want this black red to shine through, and this orange. So you see how this black is just kind of covering it and making it a smoky feel. That's what we're aiming for. So I'm just gonna grab a little bit more black, dry it off, and then wipe it off, maybe dry it off a little bit more, and just go on the other side. So if you watched one of my other ones, I use this technique a lot. You're just kind of scraping it in there. You don't really want any paint on your brush. And then since that paper towel has a decent amount of paint on it, I'm just gonna squeeze that in there and just apply it a little over where my mountain ends. And then you can do that with the dark gray as well. If you want to have a smoke fog look to your painting, just take some of that, wipe it off, and then you're going to just drag it out. Okay. I think that looks pretty good. I'm going to add a little bit more transition here. So I'm going to grab some more of that gray, kind of covering it with that smoke. So grab some more, dry it off, brush it out. And if you want to add more of that black to your mountain, you can. If you just want to have it add more shadow. Grab too much, but that's okay. I'm just gonna drag it out. And then I think I will be doing an outline on the mountains themselves after they all dry. So next we'll be working on the tower. And I have a little sketch here to help me with the design. So I'm imagining the eye to be here. So if I have the eye about this big, the U shape ends here. So yeah, let's do that. Let's add some markers here. Actually, I'm gonna use a smaller brush. Let's use one of the baby brushes, and I'm just gonna put little marks of where I want the height of everything to be. So let's get this straight. I want the tower to be from, well, let's mark how big we want the eye. So the eye has like a U around it. Comes up a little bit higher. Say it's here and there. And the U dips down to here. Then at that base, we have a little triangle-like area. And this extends a little past those first two dots in the top. Now, if this is too complicated, don't worry about these dots. Just work from the bottom up. I'm just doing this for reference to know where I want everything to be. So you want to have your tower in the middle for the most part, and this is about how wide we're going to have it. And I'm going to switch to a bigger brush. I'm going to grab my smaller of the 3 brushes, clean it off, and go into black. And I'm just going to dip my brush straight in, and I'm just going to take this and drag it down. And I'm going to just draw across and paint this box in. So you're gonna make this giant rectangle. You're gonna need a lot of black for this tower. Okay. Now the tower comes out a little bit here. So I'm gonna just curve it out a little bit around this area. And then it just comes almost immediately back in. We're gonna be adding gray for those smaller details to show what's happening in this area here. Next, the tower kind of comes in. So I'm going to just connect these 2 dots I have, or you can just go in a little bit, like a trapezoid. Color that in. We'll have this nice and sharp there. And then it's gonna kind of curve out. So we're gonna make a reverse trapezoid. So you just bring this into there, and draw across. And then color that in. Okay. Now this part is going to be almost like a curve, like a comma, a reverse comma. So we're going to something like that. And if they don't match, this is when you get to color it in so they do match. Oh well, it's okay. Then we're going to, we're just about done with the black. Going to add a little bit of like a crown to the top. Make these even height. There's a lot of symmetry in this tower. Okay. It's like this one extends a little bit too far out to the right, but that's okay. So I'm going to clean off my brush, and then we're going to go in with some yellow and orange. We're going to do orange first. So I'm going to grab a decent amount of yellow. And some red. So the key when you're drawing these large silhouettes is to find the basic shape. So that way you can have smaller shapes to make it into. So this is good. This is like a golden orange. Oops, how'd I get black in there? Oh, I gotta clean off my brush, I got black still. You do not want black in this. Okay. So grab that yellow, orange. And this is gonna be where the eye is sitting on, the holder. So you're gonna think of it like a U. So I'm thinking it's gonna come up, it's about here and here. Make sure it's even. Hang on, I gotta stand over top of it. And it's gonna come down to about here. So it's gonna take this and draw that shape. Take it and draw that shape. Now the bottom part's going to be a bit thicker. I'm gonna make some more of that without any black in it this time. So you want more of a yellow, golden, orange. All right, let's make this a little bit more even. Now you might have to do 2 coats since we are having a darker background, or you just, just kind of dab it on. It's good to let it dry before you do that next coat. That way it sets in. So I'm gonna make some more of that golden orange. While that's drying. And to fix this, I'm going to add some more of that black. Great. So I'm gonna just take that paper towel and dip it straight into my black. And I'm gonna dab it off some. And I'm just going to make some clouds right there. Help cover it up. So add that second coat now. Oh, looks like it's still a little too wet. It's okay. There we go. All right, now for the eye, there's red, orange, yellow, and black. So to help it shine through, we're gonna add white in the back. So I'm gonna rinse off that smaller of those 3 brushes and make sure I get all that paint off. And I need to pour more white. Actually, I have a little bit here. And we're going to do an eyeball. So we're kind of just, it's gonna be near the top of this, in the little bit here. And we're just going to draw a line across. Then we're going to draw a squished oval in the shape of an eye. And then you want to color it in. And I thought I had just enough white, so let's see. I don't want to have to pour any more if I don't have to. And this is kind of determine how big you want this eye to be. I am gonna have to pour more white. So close. Okay. So I want my eye to kind of come up and then come down a little bit more. There we go. That looks good. Now you're gonna take some white and mix it in with some yellow. I'm gonna make like a butter yellow. And we're gonna paint over that white area. We want a very bright yellow. If you go outside of your little shape, that's okay. We're gonna be adding some flares coming out. Now you can have a picture pulled up for reference. So we're going to have straight yellow, and we're going to kind of go in this zigzaggy motion. Then we're gonna get some orange, that gold orange. And we're gonna do that ziggy-zaggy motion on the outer edge a little bit. And then a little bit more towards the middle. I'm gonna dry that off, clean off the brush. And then before we add the next few layers, let's go ahead and add some more detail to our tower. So I'm gonna take my more detailed, smaller brush, baby brush, wipe it off. And I'm gonna go in with this darker gray. I'm gonna have to make some more, so I'm gonna grab some black. Make some more of that dark gray. We're gonna detail our tower while the eye dries. So here on this little lip we had, we're gonna be adding some gray. We're gonna outline the tower in gray. I think that will help with the details on the inside. And then we're going to add almost this rounded shape, curved a little bit. And then there are some lines that drag off. I'm not putting a lot of pressure on. I'm going to continue to outline the tower here. Now here, we're going to just go ahead and do this quick outline. And it is getting blended with that mountain, so we will add black back into that. Okay, so we're going to add some of the details here. And let's go ahead and add some of this. So here we have some tower pieces that kind of droop down and almost like a crown of its own. We are going to be going back in with black, but I want to have these grays in here as well. So then there's another line. And then we have some lines that drag down. Let's go ahead and go back in with our black. Just help outline that a little bit more. Then we're going to add some, this is gonna be more of a blended look, so let's go ahead and add some of that black back in. So we're just gonna blend this. This is where there's some dimension. And I'm gonna add just a little bit, kind of scattered here. I'm just gonna take my finger and just brush it in. Then I'm going to do a little bit of gray here. I'm gonna make this top base more gray. Then I'm going to go in, well, actually, I'm gonna add some black for this middle central spike we have going on. Actually make this dragged out more. And then we got one in the middle here. And then we got spikes in the background, so I'm gonna just add that there. And we do technically have a spike coming up in that middle. Okay. Now we're going to do what we did below here. We're going to add some gray. I'm gonna blend it out with my finger. Now I'm gonna add some more black here. And blend that in with my finger as well. I'm going to add a bit more gray to the bottom section. And do more of that blended out thing. Just make sure you go with the shape and movement of the tower. Okay, now the eye should be dry some, and we're going to add in some red. So you're gonna take that smaller of those 3 brushes, clean it off really good. Let's grab a more red orange first, actually. So grab that orange you had, add some red to it. And then let's just add that to that middle section. A little bit more in the middle. We're just gonna touch the outside of the eye. I'm going to just touch the insides of these from the reflection of that bright light. Then, make sure there's no black you picked up, which I did. Okay, there we go. Then you're going to just take that and you're going to kind of do what we did with this. So we're just going to tap this around and drag it out. So tap it and drag it. This is the flames coming off. Giving it a glow. And do it all the way around. If you grab some yellow, that's fine. Okay. Now we're gonna go straight red, and we're gonna just touch. We're gonna go in the direction around that center. And we're gonna just do small brushes. And we're gonna just tap around there and drag that out and spread it. Really want that red to just pop in the middle. So I'm going to let that dry now. So here's the full tower. Going to add more black to that outline. I think I like that black outline more than I do that gray. So I'm gonna go back over it. If you water your brush down a little bit, you can have that black, but you can also have that gray shine through a little bit. Okay. I'm gonna take that other baby brush, wipe it off, go into that red, and just dab it in that middle area. So it's nice and red. And I'm gonna just drag it out a little bit. And I am going to just touch the edge with a little bit of that red. I feel like my yellow is getting a little lost, so I'm going to add some more yellow back in. You can also touch some yellow around. Oops. Then we're going to add that black, and then we will be done. Now, since the paint is still wet, it's gonna drag those colors down. I like that. So that way the fire still looks like it's bleeding in from the back. But if you don't like that, wait for it to dry and then add your black. And then to help smooth out that fire, I'm going to take that smaller of those bigger brushes and very lightly, I am going to blend that together. All right, and there we go.